Closers, if you're a business owner and you have hit the wall and you're stuck and you're not quite sure what to do, this show is all about mindset and how to get past that. You might feel isolated and on your own. And if that's you, this show is absolutely for you because I have the chair of Vistage Chair with us today, Sam Caruso. I want to welcome you to Close the Deal podcast.
Thank you for having me, Yule. Glad to be here.
Man, I want to dive right in and ask you a question. What is the most dangerous mistake you see business owners make today?
What I see all the time is business owners who are way too involved in their business, working in their business, in the weeds, if you will, instead of
Mm-hmm.
working on their business. And that is a common theme with every single business owner I speak to.
That is a theme if you considering a franchise that we
Uh,
have to untrain people to think, okay, you're not going to be in the
right.
business.
Yep.
You're going to be working on it, running a team of people. So
Right.
yes, that is very, very common. And then this next question, I just love to ask it because it really kind of sets the tone for the show, is who or what are you grateful for that helped you get you where you are today?
I come from a bit of a unique background. There are not a whole lot of folks who grew up in a political family. And I was able, because of that, to learn an awful lot of confidence and
Mm-hmm.
the ability to deal with folks at all sorts of levels. It didn't matter. I was never intimidated, the US senators or the governors or mayors, because they were frequently in and out of the house when I was a
Mm-hmm.
teenager. My dad, who was in politics, served as mayor of our city for 17 years. And he used to always say, and still does, he's still with us today, used to say, never, always leave a place better than you found it.
Mm-hmm.
And that really has become kind of my standard operating procedure. I want to make every place that I touch better than I found it. And then when I ended up in this work as a Vistage Chair with Vistage Worldwide, I was able at that point to influence and having a positive impact on many businesses at one time, which meant I was making my entire community better. I found it. So I love the work, and I think my background in a political family and the things I learned from my dad and from all those people who came in and out of our house are what influenced me and what I'm thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my wife, who is just
Of
a
course.
rock solid businesswoman herself,
Mm-hmm.
she is really strong and not afraid to push me
Mm-hmm.
and to tell me when I'm not quite on the right track.
Sounds like you and I had the same kind of wife.
Yeah.
Mine is very strong as well, and I'm grateful
Yeah.
for that. I'm very, very grateful for that. She makes me better.
Yeah.
And your dad's philosophy of leaving the world a little better. Imagine if everybody had that philosophy. What a different place this entire country,
We're all told that.
universe would be. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But I do wish more people would adopt it as kind of a creed to
it
live
needs to
by.
be spoken. It's
Yeah,
not. It's not
absolutely.
spoken enough. I mean, it really needs to be the mantra. I mean, in
Yeah.
high school, I went to Jesuit high school here in New Orleans, and they said "men for others," which means service to others. And they
Yes.
said that 1,000 times, but it didn't sink into my thick head until probably about 5 years, 6 years later in my career, it started
Oh,
making sense.
you were ahead of me. It
Yeah,
took a lot
yeah.
longer for
Yeah,
me.
but once you find that, once you adopt that, it's not about you. It's about serving the other people, leaving the world a little better, helping other people. That's a world of difference right there. All right.
Absolutely.
So I want to come back. So let's talk about your background a little bit because your background tees up what you do today with Vistage
Sure.
Chair as Vistage
Sure.
Worldwide, and you were gracious enough to invite me to a meeting. You had
Yes.
it was at Liberty Bank's headquarters here in New
Yes.
Orleans. The
Right.
CEO, what was his name? The CEO of Liberty Bank. He was
Todd
there.
McDonald, the
Todd.
president.
Yep.
Hmm.
So he sat right next to you through this meeting. Share a little bit about your history and what is Vistage Chair, and then we're going to unpack going back to that question that you answered here a few minutes ago.
Sure. Sure. So I I'm a recovering healthcare management guy.
Hmm.
Spent 25 years in healthcare management. But I also, because of that political background I mentioned earlier, back in the 1990s, I was pretty young. I developed a way of running political campaigns, having learned from a lot of experts in the field, kind of developed my own way and developed a niche in the world of agency and government work. Wherever an agency or a government depended upon tax revenue, their
Mm-hmm.
survival, their existence, I developed a niche at being able to help them message that to the voters in order to get those passed. So throughout all my career in healthcare, I was still running a lot of those types of political campaigns. In healthcare, I worked a lot in business development. I did a lot of work with recruitment of physicians, marketing, advertising, community education, lots of different things over 25 years. And then I did a lot of curriculum development with some local K through 12 schools and regional employers, so
Mm-hmm.
aerospace industry, healthcare industry, et cetera. All stuff I love to do. And in the middle of that, Vistage contacted me a few years ago and asked me if I would consider being a chair. So Vistage Worldwide is the company. A Vistage Chair is the position that I
Mm-hmm.
hold. And, when I realized that I could help so many people at one time by doing that, rather than doing the one client at a time thing I'm used to, kind of jumped at the chance.
So, so your background lends itself extraordinarily well with what you do, plus the diversity of the background and being able to see the vision of it, because that type of background forces you to have to look beyond the business at hand. And you had your own business as well as
Mhm.
you had your own franchise
I
business
did that too,
for a
yes.
period of time.
Yes.
So today you're in full service mode, helping people, helping business owners grow their businesses. So let me ask you this: how do you coach leaders, business owners, leaders in business for that matter, if they're with corporate? How do you coach them to find the path that they need to go down, and that obstacle that you mentioned before? We can tap into that as well.
The most common problem that you see is they want to play in the weeds. And that comes from a lot of different places. But some of the things that I have seen with various clients over the years, and in particular with the groups that I work with now, there's a lot of trust issues that people don't necessarily recognize or want to acknowledge
Mm,
that lead leaders to playing in the weeds where really there's somebody in the organization they're already paying to do that job, but there's some underlying issue. One of the other things I often find is that leaders think they want to solve one problem, when in reality, if you ask a lot of clarifying questions and push them on that particular issue, you'll learn that the issue was really over here. It was somewhere else, and it was a different question altogether. So I enjoy asking a lot of probing questions and getting leaders to recognize that they probably were not asking the right question to begin with. And
yeah,
once you get to the right question, you can build the right strategy.
and that's clarity. And that's what it's so easy to get caught up in the fog, or you have your head down putting out fires.
Right.
The fire of the day that's right in front of you. I see it a lot with restaurateurs
Right.
because they got so many irons in the fire, so to speak. So yeah, I went. So you were, like I said earlier, you were kind enough to invite me to a Vistage
Mhm.
meeting. Let's talk. I want to go to the next question real quick, and then I want to come back and talk about how you surround people with other leaders to
Right.
address that question to get the person off of being in the business.
Sure.
Okay, so what do you? Let's talk about the different types of leaders you see. You got the folks that are disciplined, who just
Hmm.
like clockwork. They're going to do whatever it is. They're
Yep.
going to do it no matter what.
Yes.
They have their core principles.
Yep.
High performing leaders, reactive leaders. The three different there's different types of leaders, and there might be another one that you see as well. A pattern that you see. Those all lend themselves to issues and opportunities. Let's unpack that a little bit.
Well, and most of the time, the leaders that I'm working with have some degree of all three of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say that rigid stay on schedule, disciplined leader is the least common that I come across. They may think they are that way, but in the conversations and what comes out in our group meetings and in our one-to-ones is that there really isn't as much discipline as they would like to
Mm-hmm.
believe there is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of them are high performing. They
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be where they are
Mm-hmm.
if they had not been high performing for a while. But high performance doesn't necessarily equate to being a great leader. You see this in athletes, right? You have a lot of athletes who are really great individual performers, but what are they like in the locker room?
Mm-hmm.
What are they like as a team leader? You know, over the years, as we've watched our home team, the New Orleans Saints, back in the days of Sean Payton, when the Saints were consistently really great, you know, they had a habit, and I really admired it. They didn't ever go out and get the free agent that was a prima donna. Even if the prima donna was the better player, they recognized the need for leadership in the locker room, a leader who was calm, a leader who was methodical, and who wasn't going to be very loud, led through their actions and led by example. And I think the most successful leaders I come across are that type of leader.
And the reactive ones is just
Their hair's on fire. They're really not focused on the big picture, the long term. They're worried about today's problem. They're very much in the weeds. They've lost some sense of trust. They've lost a lot of control. And a lot of times they recognize that. And that's why they come to executive coaches or to a group like Vistage, but sometimes they don't recognize it. And I'm thinking of a few of them now who absolutely don't recognize it.
you look at you go back to your analogy of the Saints. Drew Brees was the leader for sure during that
Right.
period. And in business, he's now in the world of business,
Mm-hmm.
multiple businesses. But it's systems and processes that
Yeah.
the discipline.
Yeah.
And when they don't have the systems and the Saints, they don't have the discipline and they don't have the systems and processes. They kind of where we are right now.
Yeah. Yes. Hopefully they're rebuilding all of that. It looks like they are.
Yeah, and I see that all. It's interesting because we helped a lady in franchising at your meeting,
Yeah.
and in franchising you have to have the systems and processes, and the leader needs to see that. If they don't, they're never going to be able to franchise their business.
Yeah.
And while we're at your meeting, there was a lady you were coaching on her. The board came together. Let's unpack what you don't have to say the brand or whatever it is because I know she's
Sure.
in process.
Right.
But you can just talk in general how the board helped her, and then she was wise
Sure.
enough to see it. And this addresses the isolation part. She's not by
Sure.
herself trying to figure out. You're surrounding her with a board, and maybe you
Yeah.
can explain how that works with
Yeah.
Vistage there.
Let's start there.
Okay.
So, you know, in Vista's, a couple of things we do. Number one, there's never a competitor in the room.
Hmm.
So if you're in a particular industry, no one else in your industry is going to be in that room. Now, through our incredible and very rich online network, which you're going to be part of if you're a member, you'll have access to people all over the world who are
Mm-hmm.
in your industry, and they will absolutely work to help you. But when you're in your market, you don't want the guy down the street who competes against you to
Yeah.
hear your dirty laundry. So we put people in the room who are between 5 million and 50 million, $100 million in revenue every year. And they all have the same problems. Starting with number one, they're lonely at the top. And there's no one inside of their organization that they can really talk to about the biggest problems they're facing or the biggest decisions they have to make because everyone, even their own board of directors, is going to give them an answer that is somehow tainted to
Mm-hmm.
what that person responding thinks you want to hear or what's in their own best interest. You come to a group like ours, and it's a room of CEOs just like you. they all want the same thing. They want you to be brutally honest with them and to hold them accountable to fix the toughest problems. And they're going to give you that back in return. And that's what it really is about. What we usually find, I think I referenced it at the top of the show, is that the leader is asking the wrong question. In the case you're remembering from the meeting you were at, the individual started with a question of, how do I deal with this individual who's really not a cultural fit? And they've done some things that are outside of what I see as the culture I want my company to have. That was kind of the beginning question, if you recall. And through an awful lot of clarifying questions, what became clear is that there had never been a real definition that the employees could pick up and read, understand, of what those cultural visions, the vision of that culture was to that business owner.
Mm-hmm.
She had never put that put her core, her personal core values, which she wanted to be part of the business core values, into writing. So the question went from, how do I deal with this individual who has done some things that don't align with the culture I want in my company? It shifted to, how do I make sure everybody even knows what I want the culture of the company to be? And from there, you watched as we were able to develop a 30-day, 6-month, 9-month, 12-month plan for her to implement properly through a very collaborative manner, building what that culture document, those culture documents, and that culture feel might look like. That's a totally different animal. It's a different approach. And I think you can attest to what happens at the very end of
Oh
that
yeah.
is, when everybody is satisfied, we're asking the right questions, and we
Mm-hmm.
have addressed it, and we have said to the individual, hey, what are you going to do in the next 30 days?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I'm going to do this one, this one, and this one. And who's going to hold you accountable for that? Well, so and so is going to hold me accountable for that. I think you see where that accountability comes in, where that camaraderie comes in, the trust comes in. And then the next big thing we do there is we go around that room and we say, what did everybody else learn that they can take to their own business? I had you and two other guests from outside go through that experience with us, the
Mm-hmm.
permission of my group members, of course. And everyone in the room, including you and the other guests, had to say what they were going to take back. And every single person there said, man, I had never thought about this particular aspect of solving a certain problem in my business, and I will certainly go back and implement that. And that's what it's about, is every single time we have a one-to-one or especially a group meeting, you see that everyone in the room walks out with something they can use the next day.
And I want to add some context for the people listening here.
Sure.
You know, your meeting started at 7:30 in the morning and
Correct.
broke at around 3ish.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a deep dive. There was a
Oh,
lesson
yeah.
that we learned earlier, and then we dove into this lady's business. And
Right.
in a prior meeting, the board helped her get to the point where she's figuring out she wants to. If it's okay, I can say this. I know she wants to franchise her business, but if she can't figure out the culture of the business and address that issue, she can never get to franchising, because culture is everything. Systems
Sure.
and processes and culture are everything in the franchising world. And if one of those are missing, you can't franchise. And the
Sure.
culture piece was hers, and she wasn't able to see that clearly. But by the time the group asked their questions of her, she came to the realization herself. That was fascinating to see unfold in real time.
Right.
So that was, I appreciate being there, because that was invaluable for me to go through that experience to see the value. And I've
Right.
always believed in surrounding yourself with other mentors. This is like you have like a team of mentors around you,
Yes.
in the form of a board that digs
Yeah.
deep. And you all meet once a month, I believe, or something. Is that
Right.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I meet with each member one to one, every month, at least once,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes twice if
Mm-hmm.
they're dealing with some really big problems. And
Mm-hmm.
then we all meet together as a group. So the one-to-ones are typically 60 to 90 minutes, but the group meeting is always all day.
Okay.
And it's all day because we want to deliberately slow it down, make everyone take a breath. You're here in a safe space. Everyone here has agreed to vulnerability. Everyone here has agreed to confidentiality. Everyone here has agreed to accountability. Those three big keys. And we're all going to help each other. Nobody's here to harm anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down, take a breath, be as vulnerable and emotional as you need to be to get stuff out,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to help you fix it.
All right.
And
Well, yeah. I
that's
mean,
the beauty of it.
and it works. I watched it
Yeah.
unfold in real time. That was
Yes.
fascinating. So let me ask you another question. Last question. What are you
Ready?
seeing that CEOs are not doing that they need to be doing, where they should be heading that direction right now? Is there a pattern you're seeing?
I tell you what, my group, they don't know it yet, but this coming week will be our monthly meeting for December, and we're going to spend pretty much the whole day working on proper time management,
Mm-hmm.
identifying energy levels at various times of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then time blocking.
Mm-hmm.
And I know these sound super simplistic, but let me tell you what I'm running into. Member after member, and even people who are not members that I'm just simply talking to about getting involved, this is what they tell me. They say, I have all the intention in the world of, I'm going to use a real life example, all the intention in the world of getting my strategic plan done before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what have you done about it? Well, every time I sit down to do that strategic planning, somebody bothers me. There's an interruption. There's this, there's that. I got to go, or in the middle of the planning, it tells me I need to go get a piece of paper that I have in a file. It takes me some time. So this really happened to me Tuesday of this week. And I said to the individual, I said, well, I looked around, I said, we're sitting in your office at 7 o'clock in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
nobody else is here. So I said, when are you most energetic? And the person says, well, I get up at 4 in the morning. I'm in the gym at 4:30. I'm here, before anyone. And, yeah, I guess I'm a morning person. And this is when I'm at my best. And I said, okay, when is everybody going to arrive here? They'll start rolling in 8:30. But you've been here since at least 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have been here since at least 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I said, but you're telling me you can't find time to commit to this one thing that you think needs to get done by the end of the year. That's correct. And this is not a one-off, Yule. This
Yeah,
is every leader I
I
run
believe it.
into. So I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. There's 4 working days between now and the time the whole group meets next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you schedule a 15-minute block on each of those 4 working days, somewhere between 6:30 in the morning and 8 o'clock in the morning. Just 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're going to do for 15 minutes is focus on this strategic plan. And by the way, I'm going to call you every single day of those 4 days to see how that went.
We
And
all we all
yes,
we all
and
need a mirror because the obvious is staring us right in the face.
100%.
I was late on my taxes last year. I said I will have them ready before
Yep,
January 1st.
yep, yep,
And I'm doing that right now to be ahead of it this year. Hate
yep.
it. Hate it. But it must be done. All
Yeah.
right. Last three things, three quick responses. I'm just curious. All
All
right.
right.
Your definition of closing the deal. What does that mean to you?
I just want to make certain that I'm solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that close the deal, came from a sales background. It comes from the
Mm-hmm.
idea that we're all always selling and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. But I really love the attitude that we take in Vistage is we're really trying to solve a problem. In fact, I have some pretty strict limits, and Vistage in general has strict limits on who can even be considered to
Mm-hmm.
be in a group. You have to be well qualified to get into a group like ours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not just financially qualified or at a certain level in your organization. You got to have the right mindset.
So
And
you all practice basically what you all are coaching on. Do
100%.
it. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Next question. You're going to celebrate the deal that you just closed. And let's say you're in New Orleans. Where are you going to dinner to celebrate that closing of that deal?
I'm a mix of old school and new school,
All right.
Yule.
What's your
So I could go to Antoine's.
okay?
I might
That's
go to Restaurant August.
all right.
Right?
They're both fantastic.
Yeah, one's old school, one's a lot newer, or any of the numerous other places.
So that's what I was going to get back to Antoine's. All right. So the Sazerac is the must-have if you get it.
That probably so, yeah.
All right. Last question. Knowing what you know today, based on all your years of experience in healthcare, now running Vistage, having had your own business as a franchise, what would you tell your younger self as you were getting started in your career to accelerate
Yeah,
the time, to pull time forward?
take more risks.
Take more risks.
Stop doing the easy because no real success story ever came from just doing the easy stuff.
100%. All right, your call to action. How do people find you? And I'm going to have your links and so forth on our
Okay, great.
website. But
Yeah.
how do people find you to get in touch with you? What's your call to
Uh,
action?
Anybody can call me on my phone, 985-502-0557. Now, if I don't recognize you when you call in, I probably won't answer right away. So leave me a good message and I will call you back. And my email is sam.caruso, Caruso, at Vistage Chair. That's Vistage chair.com.
All right, we will have that information on his webpage at Close the Deal. Sam, I want to thank you for the time. Your experience is
Absolutely.
valuable. It made it possible for me to talk through it with you here today. And it's anybody who is stuck in their business right now. This is all about mindset, and,
Oh, yeah.
and at the end of the day, and that's what you guys help people with. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right,
All
thank
right.
you very much. And that is a wrap with Sam Caruso with Vistage Chair. Now, if you are stuck, this whole episode is about mindset. It's about surrounding yourself with other professionals who can accelerate time for you, who can help pull time forward for you, and who can hold up a mirror to you so you can see the blind spots, because we all have them. We all have blind spots, and that's what this program does at a very deep level. It's not a networking event. This is an event to really go deep on a business and learn and coach others and learn from the other people in the group as well. So if that's of interest to you, make sure you get in touch with Sam. I'll have all his information. Now, we alluded to franchising a couple of times, and I myself am a franchise coach. And if you're interested in learning about a franchise for yourself, and you don't know where to turn to because it can get confusing pretty quick with all the junk that's out there, I can walk you through those steps and help you find the right franchise. I've got my book, Your First Franchise Roadmap. I'm happy to send you a copy. You can go to yourfirstfranchise.com to grab the book for free. Now, before we get to the very closing of this, and I appreciate you being here because you are a closer to get this far with me, and that's much appreciated. Make sure to comment below if you are stuck or you have some feedback on the show. Also, like and subscribe and share this with others because it may help someone else. And that's, like Sam said, it wants to leave the place a little better place than where he started with. And that's what you can help us do. And that helps me bring in more great guests for the show. So we can continue this cycle. And look, this is what, 114 or 115 episode. I forget the number. But we're growing, and that's because of you, and I thank you for that. Now, you know the drill. Be intentional and make today a great day. Bye-bye.